It's hard to show up for people in ways you were never shown. Hard to open your chest when life taught you to armor it. That's the thing most people don't understand. Being emotionally available isn't just a choice. It's a war with everything you've been taught about being a man. You grow up in silence, not because you want to, but because nobody ever asked how you were really doing, not in a way that made you feel safe to answer. So you learn to keep it in, to wipe your face, to say you're fine even when something inside you was breaking. You learn that showing emotion wasn't strong, that being soft made you a target, that crying made you weak. So you stopped. And then somewhere down the line, you forgot how. But now you're older. Maybe there's someone in your life who wants you to be open. A partner, a friend, a kid, someone who just wants to know what's going on in your head. And you want to give them that. You do. But there's this invisible wall in your chest, like every time you try to say what you feel, the words get stuck somewhere between your throat and your pride. You don't want to push people away, but it's easier than admitting you don't know how to let them in. It's not that you don't feel things, it's that you feel everything, deeply. You just don't have the language for it. No one taught you how to sit with your emotions, let alone share them. So instead, you try to show love in the ways you know. You work hard, you stay loyal, you protect. But when someone asks, "What's on your mind?" you freeze. You don't know what to say, or you say something shallow, make a joke, change the subject. Because deep down, you're scared that if you open that door, everything you've been holding will come crashing out and you won't know how to put it back. No one really talks about how heavy that is, carrying decades of unsaid things, carrying the boy in you that needed someone and never got them. You became a man without ever being taught how to feel safe being human. So now, you confuse numb with calm, silence with strength, distance with control. But then you meet someone who just wants your honesty, someone who says, "Talk to me." And it's terrifying, because part of you wants to, and part of you is still that kid who learned that being vulnerable means being disappointed. You might not even realize it, but some of your patterns aren't just habits, they're scars. The way you shut down in conflict, the way you brush things off too quickly, the way you always feel like you're too much or not enough. That didn't start yesterday. That started years ago, when you looked around and didn't see anyone showing you what emotional safety looked like. You're not broken, you're just building from scratch. Being emotionally available when no one ever was for you is like learning to swim without ever being in water. You're figuring it out mid-storm, with people asking you to dive deeper when you're still trying not to drown. And sometimes, the people around you get frustrated. They don't see the effort because the effort isn't loud. It's in the pause before you answer honestly. It's in the texts you almost don't send. The phone calls you take even when you don't feel like talking. The tiny, invisible ways you're choosing to stay. And if you've never been told this before, let me say it now. That counts. Even if you stumble through the words. Even if you mess it up. Even if your voice shakes. That's not failure. That's the beginning of something brave. And I know it doesn't always feel like it, but showing up like that, it's a kind of strength the world doesn't always celebrate, but it matters. It matters a lot, because there's a version of you who deserves to be known, not just for what you do, not just for how you provide, but for who you are when the mask drops, when the guard is down, when you let yourself be fully seen. And I get it, that's scary. But what's scarier is going your whole life being loved for a version of yourself that never felt real. So if you're trying to be emotionally available, even when no one ever was for you, I see you. You're not failing. You're just healing in a world that told you not to bleed. And sometimes healing sounds like silence. Other times it sounds like, "I don't know how to say this, but I need you." And if that's all you've got today, that's enough. Some men will die with their feelings buried inside them like old letters that never got sent. Make sure you're not one of them.